Welcome to WN21, the first and only fan-filled YouTube channel dedicated to everything Wake Forest athletics. My name is Josh Chilton, and as always, I am here with my brother and co-host, Shane Chilton. Shane, we've had 10 days to lick our wounds as fans, and I'm sure the team has as well. We're well rested, and now we have our biggest game of the season thus far coming up on Saturday at noon in Winston-Salem at a Legacy Stadium for what feels like a never-ending stretch of home games to start the season against the now 16th ranked Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. First off, brother, how are you doing this morning? And not to give too much away, but what is your level of excitement about this big time game coming up?
What's up, man? Doing good. Hope you are. It's good to see you today. No excuses, right? We got 2 weeks of rest and, able to heal up a bit after a pretty fast pace beginning to the season. Thursday game in there. And so, got the 2 weeks. And so no excuses, but one excuse, maybe. Potentially, we're playing one of the best teams in the ACC, if not the best team in the ACC, arguably in Georgia Tech. So we definitely have our hands full. We've got a 12 o'clock kickoff at a Legacy Stadium. You better go. You better support the team. No excuses. We'll see if there's any weather issues. I've seen a couple of X posts about how the weather may affect us again. So a little bit of deja vu with NC State. Hopefully it's not as bad as that. Those weather delays were, or no, that was Western. Was it Western Carolina?
Yeah,
there we go. Western Carolina. You guys know what I meant. So it's we got 2 weeks to prepare, game plan. And we'll see what we put out on the field on Saturday.
Yeah, I hope we've used these 2 weeks to our advantage. We had a lot of things. I think the game against State, we showed some promise, but we also showed we had a lot of things that needed cleaning up. So I hope some of those might be addressed. I need to always go back to the starting slide, which I always forget to do. So this is our preview. Can the Deeks pull off the major upset to go 1-1 in ACC play? We do not want to go 0-2 in ACC play. That is not something we want to do. Saturday, September 27th, be there if you live anywhere in the Winston-Salem area and are a Deeks fan. No excuses. I will be waking up early on a Saturday morning at 9 a.m. West Coast time in hot Tucson. The high today is still 97. It's never going to end. So I have weather issues of my own, but this will give me a good reason to stay indoors and hopefully enjoy a big upset. So we have a few Wake Forest updates. Free safety, Rashawn Tongue is out for the season. I'm disappointed for the player. I'm disappointed for the team. Rashawn Tongue was not someone who was getting talked about on a game-to-game basis. He wasn't really jumping off the screen at you, but he also wasn't getting beat badly or being a liability at all, because you never heard his name. You never were oh, Tongue just got beat deep. He was doing his job relatively admirably. Something happened against Western Carolina with his shoulder, as far as I understand. And then against State, we replaced him because of the shoulder with Braylon Johnson, who played really well. But now we know that the extent of the damage because of the injury is such that he will be out for the season. So Braylon Johnson really stood up. Virginia Tech transfer. He's a junior, has some talent, had 7 tackles, 2 solos, half a sack against NC State. We might also see Devon Patterson. Since we have such good depth at the nickel position, he might rotate back and play some safety. We will see. Any thoughts about that, Shane?
Yeah, I think Tung, he was a vocal leader, which we're definitely going to miss that. You always like when these young kids are stepping up and taking a leadership role. But on the bright side, I think Braylon Johnson might actually be the better player. I don't know if that's harsh, but he's certainly putting up, I think, better numbers than Tung was. And so we'll see. That leadership is always an X factor, so you don't want to discount it. But Johnson's bringing some good plays, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it seems like we have there's not going to be any huge drop off, and if not, it might even, in your opinion, be an upgrade. They're about the same size. They're both about 6'1", 190-ish. So, similar players in size, maybe not in style. I think Braylon's a better tackler. I think Tung was better at covering the deep half of the field as a coverage safety. So we'll see what happens with that. I personally wouldn't mind seeing Patterson play a little bit of safety, but we'll see what they do. No changes to the starters on the offensive line, according to the depth chart that was released yesterday. So we're sticking with Sty and Sell, the George brothers, at the guard positions. No Kennedy, Devin McCray, who's backing up Devin Kalani at center. Neither of those guys are going to be starting at guard for us. We're going to trust the process, and the coaches must believe that, the whole offensive line, it's not necessarily that these guys aren't capable. It's just there's some things maybe technically or scheme wise that need to be cleaned up. My boy, who I've been calling for, true freshman, 340-pound monster, Jay-Sean Offit, no sighting of him on the too deep depth chart. Perhaps they're just going to redshirt him at this point. Any thoughts about offensive line changes? Are you
Yeah,
disappointed?
not really happy. Not really too happy about this. I mean, let's put some fire under some of the positions where we're not getting the performance we want on the field. It doesn't kill anybody to bring up a starter, replace them, and then if they underperform, you just bring in the guy that you had before, and maybe they come on the field with a little more motivation to perform. My position is not a lock. Nothing's guaranteed on this field. So they're obviously also not listening to us, which whatever.
How dare they?
As someone who thinks we both have good opinions about Wake Forest football, I think it might aid them, to log on and maybe watch a video or two.
Hey, I got a Facebook recognition from the official Wake Forest fan page that I'm a rising contributor. So at least they're not hating on us too bad. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, perhaps if one of them struggles, they throw in one of the younger guys. We'll see. But I'm a little nervous that we haven't made any changes. I will choose the side of optimism and not cynicism and say, you know what, let's give them one more chance, see what we got. And then if nothing changes at that point, if the run blocking doesn't drastically improve, I'm going to be pretty pissed, honestly. Chris Barnes has finally gotten to the top of the or slot designation for wide receiver. So it used to be Carlos Hernandez or Chris Barnes. Now it's Chris Barnes or Carlos Hernandez. Our wide receiver room, there's a lot of rotation going on. And I know that can be a good thing to keep players fresh. But I also think at a certain point, when you're trying to sustain drives, you're trying to build rapport between quarterbacks and receivers. It might serve us a little better to be a little more consistent with who's getting snaps. Not to say Hernandez doesn't deserve any snaps, he does, absolutely. But I'd like to see a little more consistency and continuity at the wide receiver position to really let these guys settle in terms of having chemistry with Robbie. Do you have any thoughts on any of that, Shane?
Yeah, Chris is clearly the number one receiver. So for me, it's not even an or here. I think Karate Brinson, I'd love to see him at 2. I think he's the second most explosive player that we have at the receiver position. I haven't seen any explosive plays out of Carlos Hernandez, but he is consistent. I put Carlos Hernandez and Buckhalter in the consistent category, but not in the explosive category. So we need explosive plays to win. We need fast players and players that can, get through the defense to get, those points. So I'd like to see more, concrete, like Chris is number 1, of course. Let's get Karate Brinson in there. Also, Micah Mays, I'd love to see more out of him. But yeah, it's well-deserved. And, we all know that Chris is our best receiver.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also in the karate club. I want to see more Karate Brinson. I'm sorry, Karate, for doing that. That was totally embarrassing, perhaps inappropriate, but I'm part of your fan.
Your name.
I want to see you on the field because I do believe, like Shane said, that you're a very explosive player. So let's get into Georgia Tech. We've talked about the Deacs. Let's talk about our opponent coming up this week. So Brent Key is the 3rd-year head coach for Georgia Tech. He started out, well, he's 47 years old. He's a former Georgia Tech offensive guard who was first team All ACC as a senior in the year 2000. 7 wins in both of his first 2 full seasons as the head coach after inheriting a program with 4 straight losing seasons. Jeff Collins had been brought in at one point to try to bring Georgia Tech into the 21st century of offensive football. For years it was this triple option. When we beat them in the ACC championship in 2006, they had freaking Calvin Johnson, but we're still running the triple option. But Jeff Collins was brought in to kind of change that. It didn't go well for Collins. Key was the offensive line coach / assistant head coach at that time. He became the interim, ended up holding on to the job, getting the full-time position as the new head coach for the team. And it's only been uphill ever since. Like the first 2 seasons with 7 wins, that's not amazing, but you could tell they were building something because of the way their recruiting was going. Things were just changing culturally and just expectation-wise with Georgia Tech. He was an offensive line coach at Alabama for 3 seasons under Nick Saban, won a national championship as an offensive line coach. He has a long coaching resume, which I'm not going to go fully into, but he's been an offensive coordinator. He's an offensive line specialist. His offenses, when he's been the full-time head coach at Georgia Tech, have been dominant in terms of rushing the ball. And that scares me after what happened with Hollywood Smothers a few weeks ago. They were first in the ACC in 23. They were second in the ACC in 24. He is 6-1 versus nationally ranked ACC opponents in his tenure as head coach at Georgia Tech. 10 of Georgia Tech's players were named All ACC in 2024. That's quite an accomplishment. And his recruiting classes, like I said, continued to get better. 24/7 Sports ranks their 2025 freshman class as the 23rd best class in the country. So that's a top 25 freshman class and the 32nd transfer class in the country. Shane, any thoughts about Brent Key and just what he's done, this impressive resume of what he's done in a relatively short time here at Georgia Tech, and then now this year, it kind of culminating in national recognition?
Yeah, he's obviously a program guy. He played with the Yellow Jackets. Now he's the coach. I remember him talking in the post-game interview after they beat Clemson about family. He really views Georgia Tech as family. Obviously, that message is translated to his players and students who are coming in. They see he's clearly bought into the program, played there, now is coaching there. They want a piece of the action. They're in Atlanta. Atlanta's an awesome city to live in, so really easy to bring in talent into Atlanta. The proof's in the pudding in his numbers. 6-1 versus nationally ranked ACC opponents. That is remarkable. Obviously, doing a great job in recruiting. He's the real deal. As an offensive player previously, he understands offense really well and has put together an excellent offensive scheme. As you said, to kind of echo you a bit and foreshadow a bit, it's, our run defense is definitely going to have to step up because they have a lot of explosive players in their run game that can get up the field really quickly.
Yeah, their offense is the strength of this team, as we believed with NC State. NC State did the perfect NC State thing, which is beat us and then choke against Duke. And look, and TJ Bailey went.
We got to revel in that a little bit.
TJ Bailey went from my, future number one overall pick
Heisman hopeful,
a little suspect, but yeah, like their strength is their offense. And here's the path that they've taken to become the 16th ranked team in the country. Now, this is pulled off of just a Google search of their box scores, but it's notable. It's a little deceptive. They weren't ranked 16th when they played Colorado. They weren't ranked 16th when they played Gardner-Webb. They weren't ranked 16th when they played Clemson. They weren't ranked for any of those three games. That's what they're ranked now. But they were ranked 18th coming into the game against Temple last week. So some notable things about this schedule. First, they beat Colorado, Deion Sanders, prime. Colorado hasn't exactly been like lighting it up this year. So they beat them in a close game. Georgia Tech versus Gardner-Webb. Haynes King was actually out for that game with what was described as a nagging lower body injury. That's as specific as they would get with us. They beat the now 1-3 Clemson Tigers, which appeared to be a huge win at that time. I still think it's a big win. Clemson may be struggling a lot right now, but there is talent, especially on that defense. There is talent on that Clemson Tigers team. They're just having problems with Klubnik, Dabo, whatever's going on there. That's a talented team to beat. And then last week, taking out Temple, 45 points put on the board, but they gave up 24 to Temple. I watched kind of the condensed version of that game, and their defense was letting Temple move the ball and create some explosives. So I think there might be an opportunity there. Any thoughts about just their path to where they are at now as the 16 ranked team?
Yeah, to echo that, I watched the Temple game as well. And to get on a positive note, I mean, the Temple quarterback, he had his career best rushing game. So that says something about their defensive rush ability, and especially with a quarterback like Robbie Ashford, who loves to run the ball and has had a lot of success running the ball. That speaks well for us. I think that they definitely have some holes in their defense. So as you can see, they shut down Gardner Webb to 12, but teams have been able to score, but it seems like it's a shooting match. It's who can reach the highest points first. Clemson, like you said, not the Clemson of the past, but still a really good team. Still an excellent ACC team, just probably not a national championship contender. And then, Colorado with Dion. So, they've played some important games. They've shown that they can win in tight situations. And that's something that's more kind of top of mind, is that, they're finishing. And that's something I haven't seen our team do as much as finish. So, it's all won in the fourth quarter. But yeah, they're looking pretty good, and we'll see what the outcome is.
Yeah, that's a great point about the Colorado and Clemson games. Those were tight in the fourth quarter, and they exerted their will to pull those out. So I think that's very important and a great insight. And they are led by the head of the wasp, so to speak, instead of the head of the snake. Is he King Haynes instead of Haynes King? Is he the ACC's best quarterback? I would say at full strength, Haynes King is the best quarterback in the ACC. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there and admit it. He's 24 years old. He actually got his undergrad bachelor's degree, finished his college 4-year degree at Texas A&M in 2022. Yet he's still playing. This is his fifth, sixth year of college football. He is a dual threat monster. Okay. This guy's a dual threat monster. He's always had the rushing ability, but now the passing ability, especially in the past 2 years, has started to really develop, especially as they've gotten more receiving weapons around him. But you can see, completion percentage from, his first year at Georgia Tech, 61.6% completion percentage, 27 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, to last year where he had some injuries and was kind of a part-time player at some points, rotating with Aaron Philo, true freshman Aaron Philo, who's up next for Georgia Tech. They've got another one coming, but they rotated a little bit last year. That's why you see those passing yardage numbers down, the touchdown numbers down, but he only had 2 picks last year as a limited time quarterback for about half the season. And then rushing ability, 700 yards, 6 yards per carry in 23, almost 600 yards, 4.7 yards per carry, double digit touchdowns both of the past 2 seasons. And this year in 3 games, because he didn't play against Gardner Webb, he's already got 274 rushing yards. He has 2 games where he's rushed for over 100 yards, and he already has at least 1 rushing touchdown in every game he's played. So this guy is a physical, strong runner. And I think one of the keys to winning this game, because of the history of him putting his body on the line and dishing out punishment to defensive players, we as the Wake Forest defense have to bring the mentality that if this guy's going to run against us, I don't care if he's 6'3", 215, I'm bringing the pain on this dude. I'm doing everything within the legal bounds of the game of football to hurt this dude. And so I don't wish injury on anyone, but we need to make this guy feel it when he's running. What are your thoughts, Shane?
Yeah, 2 things come to mind mainly, that might work out good for Wake Forest. He's had a little bit of, as you said, issues with injuries. It's kind of plagued him all season so far. He's also had some issues with ball security and fumbles. We need to be looking to, punch the ball out. We need to be looking for A lot of them have been kind of snap related, handoff related fumbles, but just emphasizing, punching the ball in practice, stuff like that, to, try and force turnovers, kind of things that don't work out so well for Wake. I mean, the fact that he's already, about halfway or more than halfway to, his rushing yards from the previous season already. And, we're not even halfway through the season, as well as, halfway, to the touchdowns he had last season. And they had a good season last season. So
and he's missed one game.
Yeah, and he missed one game. Exactly. That's a great point. So, yeah, I mean, it's they're definitely, and he can throw the ball too. Like, he made plenty of good passes against Temple that I saw. So, yeah, he's definitely their star player, and we're gonna have to work hard to contain him.
Yeah, he's yet to have any like 300-yard or close to that passing games, but he's been an efficient passer this year. And so it's a pick your poison. Like, if I had to choose, I would say we got to sell out and make them one dimensional, make Haynes King a passer, beat us as a passer. But even with that, it's like, well, when we look at their receivers and their weapons, which is what we're going to get into now, there's just a lot of challenges. Like, our defense has played some good football this year, some really good football, but we need 4 quarters of disciplined, elite defensive football if we're going to win this game. So their offensive scheme, their OC is a guy named Buster Faulkner. He has 20 years of college coaching experience. Their scheme is kind of like what you said last week, Shane. Everyone has the same kind of scheme now. I mean, it's not the same scheme, but everyone is using these pro style offenses. They have a lot of formations where they're in a spread. They even have like the spread where they have 2 receivers bunched up on the very outside near the sidelines, or they'll run 12 personnel and have 2 tight ends on the line of scrimmage, creating a 7-man wall. They're creative. They're going to do run pass options, but they're also going to throw a lot of bubble screens. They're going to challenge you deep. They're going to be balanced. They're going to impose their will. There's a lot to deal with in this scheme. It's just creative play calling. There's not one particular thing you can focus on. There's multiple formations. There's just what you see in college football now, which is a lot of diverse formations and play calling. Jamal Haynes. So now we have another running back on our hands that we got to stop. It was Hollywood Smothers last week, and now we got a 3-year stud, Jamal Haynes, senior, 5'9", 190 pounds. Over the 2 seasons prior to this year, he had a combined 2,000 yards. So averaging being 1,000-yard back 2 years in a row coming into this season. The guy behind him, Hosley, looks like a complete stud as well. So we've got problems in terms of the firepower in their running game. 2 wide receivers I wanted to talk about are Isaiah Canyon. He is a sophomore. His snaps are starting to increase. He is a deep threat. He is the guy we need to be watching for, who when we are up, trying to stop the run, they're going to take a deep shot to Canyon. That's why I brought him up. 15 yards per catch this season. They brought in Eric Rivers from Florida International University. His numbers last year kind of speak for themselves. 62 receptions, 1,172 yards, 12 touchdowns. I mean, that's a very good stat line even at FIU. Shane, you had a couple receivers as well. I mean, these aren't the only 2. There's 2 more that we got to worry about as
Yeah,
well.
I almost don't even want to talk about them because it's like the more we talk, it's like, oh my god, how deep is this team? You
Yeah, we
know,
need
it's
to
just
know these names though. Talk about them.
yeah, no, Malachi Hosley, you already mentioned him, but absolutely explosive player. He looks like Chris Barnes. Technically listed as a running back, but they do a lot of motion plays to get him the ball quickly, screens, handoffs. So he's got a ton of speed. Another player who's listed as a wide receiver who is very similar to Malachi Hosley is Malik Rutherford. So I don't even want to say it. It's like it's not going to come out of my mouth. They got two Chris Barneses. Oh God, I hope not. But they look like. I mean, if I was to compare, I would say maybe not as fast as Barnes because Barnes is like absolutely a speedster, but they're pretty similar. They're smaller guys, so they're kind of similar in that way. And then Dylan Gordon, he had an explosive play too. He's a running back, number 21.
Oh,
So three deep in the running back world. Isaiah Canyons, he's their big receiver. If they're in the red zone, if you need to just throw a ball up and have him make a basketball play, he's kind of the guy in there. So we're gonna have our hands full.
Yeah, long story short, we've got Haynes King, perhaps the best quarterback in the ACC with a lot of freaking weapons. Our one saving grace may be the offensive line. Now, again, PFF, it's a useful tool. It doesn't tell the whole story, but their offensive line, as a whole, has not graded out elite by any stretch of the imagination this year. Their two highest rated guys, Ethan McKinney, a redshirt sophomore who plays tackle for them. He's their highest rated offensive lineman. A guard, Keelan Rutledge, who's a senior, big old boy, 6'4, 330 pound, the type of guard I wish that Dickert would throw in there, but maybe the guys just aren't ready yet. So the offensive line, while good, is not elite. And so they have the skill position players, but we have a chance here for our defensive line if they can play more disciplined on the edges, not breaking contain, which happened a lot against NC State. And Coach Dickert talked about it in his press conference. Like, if we can do some of that and dominate up front against their offensive line, maybe we can mitigate Haynes King and all of his weaponry around him to a certain degree. We're not going to shut them out at all, but maybe they won't drop 40 on us.
No, I completely agree. Contain. That's going to be the key to this game with the speed that they have and these backs, their ability to get around the defensive end. We have to contain. If we don't contain, we're going to lose.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. Defensively, they're not as great defensively. Like, the offense is the strength of the team. Their defensive coordinator is Blake Gideon, another young guy coaching. There's a lot of young up and comers in their 30s and 40s coaching in the ACC right now. His scheme is very similar to us. Hopefully that plays to our advantage a little bit. It's a 4-2-5. It's a 4-3 based on personnel. Basically, we should just call them 4-man fronts or 3-man fronts at this point. He's very aggressive. Maybe we can use some screens to mitigate these nickel and corner blitzes that they like to bring a lot of the times. Robbie needs to be able to read the hot. And what read the hot means is whoever's blitzing, you throw to that spot. If someone's coming on a blitz from the outside, you throw where the blitz comes from. Robbie has to be able to do that. A few of their key players, safety, senior leader of the defense, in my opinion, Omar Daniels. He's a fifth-year guy. He's got 17 tackles on the year. He has a pick six return for 45 yards. he's just a vocal kind of defensive quarterback for them. Daquan White is their highest graded corner. He's sticky. I focused on him a little bit after seeing his PFF grade. He's a sticky coverage guy. He's not huge, but he's a really good corner. Jordan Vanderberg. And if you see the spelling, there was something I noticed. I was like, with that lowercase Vander in the middle of Vanderberg, I was like, is this guy from South Africa? Because I've been to South Africa, and that is how they do names in South Africa with the Afrikaans population. And sure enough, Jordan Vanderberg, South African man. That's a horrible South African accent. He's a senior, 6'3", 300 pounds, started his career at Penn State. He is a run stuffer, gap plugger. He's going to be our biggest in terms of the concerns we have about our interior offensive line. He is going to be our biggest challenge. If he is able to plug holes and stuff gaps and penetrate, it's going to cause problems for us. And in terms of pass rushing, I think the guy that is emerging for the Yellow Jacket defense is a sophomore named Amontre Bradford. Now, Bradford was not getting a lot of snaps early on in the season, but last game against Temple, his snap count exploded. And they decided, oh, this young 6'5", 245-pound athletic freak, we're just going to put him out there and let him rush the passer. He has an 84.3 PFF pass rush grade on the season, which shows that he is an elite pass rusher. You know, his run stopping isn't great. They might take him out on obvious running situations, but in terms of the pass rush, he's pictured here on the right. He is the guy we need to watch out for, in my opinion. Shane, what do you think about the defense, having watched some of the tape? Are there any notable players or ideas or themes that you want to touch on about their defense?
Yeah, so the Temple quarterback had his career best rushing game in the last game against Georgia Tech. And if you go and watch that game, you will see that the quarterback for Temple is not Michael Vick. It's not Eric Crouch. It is just some guy, basically. I mean, he's good enough to play college football, and kudos to him for that. But we're not talking about, someone kind of next level caliber. So, but one thing that quarterback was able to do was he was able to get over the top a couple times to receivers for long pass plays. And so I really think, a key to this game, and we'll get into that in the next slide, but just kind of focusing on this defense and a potential, opportunity for us, is if Robbie is able to stretch out this defense a little bit, he could have a heck of a game rushing, and that could, be one of the keys to success for us. So that was one of the things I noticed about their defense. They were a little bit leaky when it came to quarterback rushing, and it wasn't always a designed quarterback rushing play. A lot of these were plays where the quarterback was able to step into the pocket and make his way downfield, based on no one spying him. Okay. And so that is a potential opportunity for us. We like to get Robbie a lot out in open space, kind of bring him out, out of the pocket. I don't know if that will be as successful as kind of the Temple quarterback's rushing success, kind of not outside of the pocket, but through the pocket. So that's one thing that stuck out to me. One other player, Ronald Triplett, he had a really good game, number 24 in their D-line. So their D-line is pretty good, but they obviously have a little bit of an issue with, containing the quarterback, and that's a good thing for us.
Yeah, they have some good linebackers too. I didn't throw them on there, but they have some good linebackers. This is not an elite defense, in my opinion, though. And I think you're right. Robbie's pocket presence is going to be really important for this game. Of course, we're going to have designed runs, but Robbie's ability when the pocket breaks down and his first or second read isn't there, can Robbie navigate and find holes and cracks in their pass rush and those gaps to just be decisive. Like count 1, 2, and then if no one's open and you've gone through your reads, find a gap and get upfield for some positive yards. I think that is a formula that we need to embrace. I hope the coaching staff and Robbie embrace going into this game, because I would venture to guess that Robbie Ashford is a better athlete than the Temple quarterback from what I
Definitely.
saw. And so
Definitely.
he needs to be a game breaker for us if we're going to win this game. Along with Damon, we need holes for Damon. He needs to have just a little bit of space. And I still believe he is the best back in the ACC. I'm not going to give up on that claim. There's two great backs we're going to be seeing in back to back, and they may look great, but they also have some holes and some space. And it doesn't matter how good you are if you don't have that. And
Right.
so we need to get the best ACC running back some space to work with. And I also think it helps because of the rib injury that Damon suffered early in the season. We had this early bye week, and maybe if that was limiting him in any fashion, maybe that's gone now, and maybe we get 100% version of Damon Claiborne that perhaps we haven't had up to this point. If you're still with us and you have not hit the like button and you have not hit the subscribe button, please do us a favor. Please do us a solid. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We're on the march to reach 100 subscribers. We've only been doing this a couple months, but we put a lot of work and dedication into our fandom of Wake Forest, and we love Wake Forest athletics, and we want this content to be out there for the fans. We do this for fans like us. So if you haven't hit that like and subscribe, please do so. Please share this on your social networks. Get us out there if you think we're bringing some valuable content to the YouTube media space regarding Wake Forest athletics. Keys to winning the game: stop the run. We cannot let them dictate how they play this game against us. We have to dictate it to them. We have to make them one dimensional and a pass first offense. Now, that is quite the challenge. And I'm not saying we have to do it perfectly, but specifically with Mr. Haynes King, king of the ACC quarterbacks, with the dude runs ferociously. He runs as if he's Tim Tebow, but he does not have the frame of Tim Tebow. He may have the heart of a Tim Tebow, but he doesn't have quite the frame. And so if you're a Wake Forest defensive player and you're watching this right now, I need you to bring the pain on Mr. Haynes. And for that matter, on both of the Hayneses, Haynes King and Jamal Haynes. We need the pain to be brought on those guys. We need those guys to think twice before they lean their shoulders into us. We need Haynes King to be thinking about sliding by the end of the first quarter because a swarm of Deacons is about to decapitate him within the rules of the game, of course. But I think that's a key, and we need to be able to run the ball like on the other side. So we got to stop the run and we got to be able to run. If we can't do those two things, I don't think we have a chance. I just don't. We have to be successful running the ball. So it's up to the coaches, it's up to the offensive line, it's up to Robbie as a decision maker, it's up to Damon. They have to impose their will onto the game and make sure that we control the line of scrimmage. Football is a game that is built up front. And a lot of times, whoever controls the line of scrimmage wins the game. And so, Shane, would you like to talk about our fourth quarter performance? Uh,
Yeah, exactly. So we got to show up in the fourth quarter or the fifth quarter. John Abadi, let's go. You know what
let's
I'm
go.
saying? Okay. I mean, that's the most important quarter, and this is kind of more specifically talking about what I saw in the NC State game because we played. I would argue we played three pretty good quarters. We played two excellent quarters, but three pretty good quarters.
Yeah.
And it was tied going into the fourth quarter, and then we gave up the game. And you could see we were getting fatigued, and you could see we were getting a little bit panicked with some of our decisions here and there. Things don't go your way. Maybe they do go your way. And you got to take advantage of that. I mean, when we get the roughing the passer against NC State and we get another chance and you just throw an interception, it's unacceptable. You can't do that. You got to show up in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter is the only quarter that matters. Okay. You can play three amazing quarters. You play a bad fourth quarter, you lose the game. It doesn't matter. It goes in the loss column. So let's show up. Let's not get fatigued. Let's be sharp when it's hard to be sharp. Anybody can be sharp in the first snap of the first play of the game. But how are you feeling when you've been knocked in the mouth for three quarters? You're in the fourth quarter, your brain's barely working. How are you going to be doing then? That's the crunch time. That's the important time.
Absolutely. Fourth quarter is when we separate the men from the boys, straight up.
Yeah.
And so that's when we need to step up is the fourth quarter. There's a reason just about every football team holds up the number 4 as a team when the fourth quarter starts. Coaches understand it. That's when games are won or lost. We have to be able to sustain our intensity, the pace at which we play, and our mental focus for 4 quarters if we're going to win this game. We have to also contain Haynes King in the pocket. If we can make them one dimensional and make King a passer, we have to do a better job of what Coach Dickert talked about, striking the balance between rushing him as a passer and staying in our lanes so that he doesn't break the pocket and get loose. We may need to spy him. We're going to have to deploy some tactics when it comes to Haynes King as a passer to make sure that we make him have to be a passer. Like, make him have to be a passer. He's come a long way in that. But if you compare his running ability to his passing ability, I would rather him have to beat us as a passer. So we need to contain him within the pocket, not let him break loose on these passing plays. And Shane, do you want to talk about the home field advantage and why that is so freaking important and why we need Winston-Salem as a city to step up? We need Wake Nation, the students, the alums, all of them to step up. Why is it so important that they show up for this game?
Let's go. All right, Sandstorm. All I can say is, like, it doesn't matter how good you're playing on the field. You make a huge tackle, knock someone's helmet off, and you hear grasshoppers chirping in the background. You're not gonna be very excited, are you? We gotta get it going over there. And I'm talking about the students. It starts with the students. Okay, if you need to drink a bottle of vodka to get you into the game, go ahead and do it. I won't judge you, but at least get in the game, be loud, scream it out, and let's go. Okay. It's a 12 o'clock game, so it might not be the best game to drink a bottle of vodka before you get out there. And this is a family friendly channel, so I'm not endorsing alcoholism, but I am endorsing being loud, and I am endorsing, rooting for your team, helping them push through to beat a ranked opponent at home and set the tone for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's a great message. I mean, stay all 4 quarters, Deacons fans, especially the students. This is not a phenomenon that's particular to Wake Forest. It happens at a lot of, unless you're an SEC or just like historically great college program. I was at the University of Arizona football game because I live in Tucson a couple weeks ago. The student section was full at the beginning. It was a close game, and by halftime, half of them were gone. I know that happens a lot, but we're telling you we need you there the whole game. Not us, the players. The players need your support. So stay for the whole game if you can. I wish I lived in Winston-Salem so I could be at the game, because I would lose my voice screaming, even if the rest of the fans were sitting there going, "Good play, sir, good play." So we need to get rowdy. We need to be a little rough and redneck. Like, I know we're Wake Forest. We're a very well-educated and high-class institution, but we got to get some rowdy. We got to get a little more just spicy out there. And the final key, I think, is coaching. I don't think we've outcoached anyone this season. Like, not glaringly. Maybe you could say against Western, but with all the injuries they had sustained, the suspension of their quarterback, it was not necessarily like, wow, we're just scheming them, to pieces here. No, we need to outcoach someone. We need our coaches to show that they can out scheme them. And if we do that, we will win the game. There is not such a talent disparity between these two teams that we don't have a chance. And that is something I want to give Coach Dickert and the program a lot of credit for. Is when I look at this Wake Forest team, I do not see a lack of talent. There have been teams in the past where I would look and I would be like, the boys are fighting hard. We've got a good coach, but we just ain't got we don't got the guns
for
this.
Heart.
Yeah, we don't got the guns for this fight, but we got the guns now. There's no excuse. We need to be out scheming, out coaching our opponents. Brent Key is a really good coach. So this is a, call out. This is a, enthusiastic cry to our coaches to give your 150%, everything you've got, everything you've learned in your career up to this point. Bring it into this game. We got nothing to lose, everything to gain, and just be loose and don't be scared to call a game that might just bring us to victory, and don't play scared.
Let's see a trick play. Let's see an a fake punt, or on the kickoff. Get it there, get it going. So just show us that you're not afraid to take a little bit of a chance every once in a while.
Play to win you play to win the game.
Yeah.
Don't play to keep it close. All right. And so finally, our predictions for this game. For the first time this season, I am predicting us to lose.
Probably a smart man.
I am the biggest Wake supporter you're ever going to find. I've been a fanatic for the last 30 years of my life. You will not find a more hardcore Deke fan than me. I will stand on that. But I'm also just a realist.
Have a brain.
And I'm a realist, and I believe that, it's just a tough offense to go against. It's the best quarterback in the ACC with a lot of weapons. And even with our defense being pretty dang good, them scoring 31 points is in the cards. And so I think we're going to put up 21 points. I don't think we're going to, be completely shut out. I think we're going to be highly competitive. I think we're going to show improvement in a lot of areas. But I also believe that Georgia Tech is the 16th ranked team in the nation for a good reason and may continue to rise. And this is a program that is definitely on an upward trajectory. And I just don't think in our first year of the Dickert era, we're hoping to get where Georgia Tech is now in a couple years. And so I will not have shame in us losing by 10 points to Georgia Tech. So I predict 31-21 Georgia Tech. I hope I'm wrong. I hope to God I'm wrong. Shane, can you explain your spicy prediction here?
Yeah. So okay, we got Wake Forest. They on defense. They play the game of the century for them. Okay, that's what it's going to take, honestly.
Okay.
So the defense plays, out of their mind, given all of the weapons that Georgia Tech has on offense. And then Robbie, he comes in and he actually steps into this role that we've been waiting for him to step in. He realizes this is his last year of playing football, probably. And, what do I got to lose? I don't have anything to lose. So I'm going to go out there and I am going to show that I'm going to go into the Hall of Fame of Wake Forest sports. Okay, let's go. Because there's something that young Robbie should have in the back of his head. There are Wake Forest fans, and we've seen them here on this program, who are whispering and talking, and it will be turning into a shout sooner than later that maybe this young man from Charlotte should be put in instead of Robbie Ashford has had 5 years of college football to show what he can do. So it's a little bit do or die. And, you can say you're putting a lot of pressure on him. Yes, I am. So step up, young man. Enjoy this last year of college football. You'll never have it back. And so let's go. Robbie steps into that. Wake Forest defense plays well. Last minute victory, field goal victory, and we get going on the trajectory that I was hopeful for this season. And there it is.
I love that prediction. And, like you told me earlier, maybe it takes Robbie getting 100 rushing yards in this game.
Right.
Robbie becomes Haynes King this game in terms
There
of
we
rushing.
go.
He dips his shoulder down and trucks someone instead of sliding. He realizes, this is my last chance. This is it. This is my 5th year of college football. What do
all in at the poker table, baby.
Yeah, I would rather, Robbie, you throw a pick and be aggressive the whole game and play scared. Like,
go out fighting. Don't go out with just like a poof, Go out with all your cards, all your chips on the table, okay?
Absolutely agree. Absolutely. I love the prediction. We both think Wake's going to keep it relatively close, and I love that. We'll see what happens. Like, I'm excited for the game. I think it's a great measuring stick for where we are as a team this season and the program moving forward. We'll see what happens on Saturday. I can't wait to watch it. I get nervous before every game as if I'm a player. It's the closest experience I get to what it was like back in high school football in the glory days. And so I love Wake Forest football for that. Shane, do you have any thoughts as we sign out? I think our next video will be a reaction to whatever happens in this game. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you're subscribed in order to know when that comes out. And Shane, any parting thoughts on our way out here?
Just looking forward to watching it. This is our first ranked opponent, and it's actually a winnable game, I think. So it ain't, some national championship team. Maybe they will be. Maybe they'll come back and I'll eat my own words. It wouldn't be the first time. But it's a 12 o'clock game. Hopefully we'll have some good weather, be beautiful out, and I'm looking forward to watching it. And I appreciate my brother here, Josh. You guys don't understand. This man does so much behind the scenes. He is the engine for WN21. I put a little gas in the car every once in a while. So I just want to say thank you to you, Josh. I don't say it enough. But yeah, looking forward to talking about a victory on Saturday. That'd be great. So
I appreciate that, brother, and I wouldn't want to be doing this with anyone else in the world. We both just have this experience has been great so far, and we appreciate those who have come along on the journey with us. We'll see you after the Saturday game, hopefully the upset victory that propels us forward, and go freaking Deeks, right?
Wake Forest!